Hello, this is Max. A young guy is being blackmailed by a hacker into doing unthinkable things. Don't forget to subscribe. In the first scene, we find a middle-aged woman in a poorly lit parking area. She seems frightened, casting anxious glances all around. Suddenly, she receives a text that visibly increases her anxiety. In a cautious move, she conceals her car keys inside one of the back tires, then quickly leaves the area. Next, the story shifts to introduce the main character, Kenny, a 19-year-old who leads an unremarkable life. Kenny lives with his mother and younger sister and works as a waiter in a local restaurant. Known for his kindness and gentle demeanor, he is a favorite among both his colleagues and the patrons. His considerate nature shines through in small acts, like returning a toy to a little girl who beams with gratitude as she departs. However, Kenny's peaceful life hits a snag when he discovers his laptop missing. Upon investigating, he finds his sister using it without his permission. His reaction is uncharacteristically harsh as he snatches it back and rebukes her, hinting he might be concealing something sensitive on the device. Later, as Kenny tries to use the internet, he finds his laptop infected with a virus. In a desperate attempt to salvage it, he resorts to downloading anti-malware from a dubious source, which clears the virus but activates his webcam, unknowingly subjecting him to surveillance. That night, while seeking privacy and entertainment online, Kenny receives a chilling email from an anonymous sender. The email contains a video attachment and a message stating, "We saw what you did." Horrified, Kenny watches the video to find it's a recording of his private moments, captured by the hacker who now seems to be blackmailing him. Before Kenny can fully grasp the situation, another email arrives, this time explicitly blackmailing him. The sender demands his mobile number, threatening to leak the compromising video if he doesn't comply. Feeling trapped, Kenny reluctantly sends his number. Soon after, a text message instructs him to always keep his location services active and his phone fully charged, hinting ominously that he will be activated when needed. In a bid to resolve the situation, Kenny offers money to the blackmailer, only to be sternly told to tell no one. In the ensuing days, Kenny receives no further instructions, but the weight of the situation hangs heavily on him. He becomes withdrawn, interacting minimally with his family and spending most of his time isolated in his room, wrestling with the uncertainty and fear of what might come next. Kenny's demeanor at work deteriorates alongside his personal troubles. Once a vibrant and personable waiter, he now seems distracted and despondent, drawing the manager's frequent reprimands for his lack of engagement. A week into this ordeal, the situation escalates when Kenny receives a message from the mysterious blackmailer. The message includes a specific location with a directive to be there by noon, with the explicit threat that failing to comply will result in a public release of his video. Panicked, Kenny requests immediate sick leave and hurries to the designated spot on his bicycle. Upon arrival, Kenny finds the location deserted. He informs the sender of his presence, only to be told to wait. Left alone with his anxiety, Kenny remains on edge, unsure of what will be asked of him next or why he has been summoned to this empty place. Minutes later, a man arrives on a scooter. Without a word, he hands Kenny a package and takes a photo of him, then sends it to someone. As the man departs, Kenny realizes he's not alone in this situation. The hacker is using multiple people to carry out tasks under duress. Kenny then receives a new location on his phone, complete with a room number and instructions to deliver the package there. Despite feeling uneasy, Kenny knows he has no other option but to follow the directive. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he peeks inside the package to find it contains a cake. Arriving at the specified room, Kenny knocks on the door but receives no response. After announcing the delivery without success, he gets another message from the hacker, instructing him to mention a name Mindy. Upon using this name, a man, visibly shaken and introducing himself as Hector, hesitantly opens the door. Upon meeting, Hector is already on edge, bombarding Kenny with questions about the mysterious circumstances they've both been thrust into. After reading the text messages on Kenny's phone, Hector confirms that Kenny too is a victim of the same blackmailer. Their urgent discussion is abruptly interrupted by a new message from the hacker, commanding them to collaborate and deliver the package to another location, using a car provided in the parking lot. This car turns out to be the same one abandoned by the woman in the opening scene. As they drive to their next destination, Kenny and Hector share their respective stories of how they fell into the hacker's trap. Kenny confesses that he was caught in a private moment by the hacker, who now threatens to expose the footage. Hector, on the other hand, reveals a lapse in judgment one drunken night when he communicated with an escort named Mindy, sending compromising images that were subsequently intercepted by the hacker. He expresses deep concern over the potential fallout with his family if his actions were to be revealed. Despite Kenny's growing despair and tears, Hector tries to maintain a semblance of optimism, reassuring him that they might be released from this blackmail after completing the demanded tasks. Upon reaching the designated location, they receive another instruction from the hacker. Inside the cake they've been transporting are objects they need to retrieve, adding yet another layer of complexity to their coerced errand. As Kenny and Hector examine the contents of the package, they discover a pair of sunglasses, a cab, and most alarmingly, a gun. The presence of a weapon unnerves them, heightening their fear and confusion. Before they can process the situation, the hacker sends a chilling new message, inquiring who among them will take on the roles of driver and robber. Glancing at each other in shock, they realize they're parked outside a bank, the implication of their next steps becoming painfully clear. The gravity of their predicament hits particularly hard for Hector, whose thoughts immediately turn to the safety and well-being of his family. With a resolve born out of desperation, he declares that he will be the driver. Kenny, on the other hand, is overwhelmed with reluctance and fear at the idea of actually entering the bank with the intention to rob it. However, swayed by Hector's arguments about the severe personal consequences of defying the blackmailer, Kenny consents to proceed. Equipped with the sunglasses and cab to disguise his identity and clutching the gun with trembling hands, Kenny steps out of the car and walks towards the bank's entrance. His heart pounds with anxiety and dread as he prepares to cross a line from which there may be no return. Kenny, driven by fear and coercion, storms into the bank, gun pointed at the cashier, demanding all the money. Overwhelmed by the intensity of the situation, he experiences a humiliating accident, but the bank staff, prioritizing their safety, comply without resistance. They swiftly hand over the money, allowing Kenny to exit quickly and reunite with Hector in the getaway car. Hector immediately drives off, managing to put distance between them and the bank rapidly. Breathing a sigh of relief at their narrow escape, their moment of respite is short-lived as the hacker promptly sends them a message outlining one final task. The coordinates lead them to a remote location, bordered by a dense forest. Here, Hector receives instructions to destroy the car, while Kenny is told to take the money bag and proceed into the forest. The hacker assures them that this will conclude their obligations and they will finally be free. With a heavy heart and lingering anxiety, Kenny and Hector part ways, each moving toward their assigned tasks. Kenny, clutching the bag of money, walks deeper into the forest. Upon arriving at the designated spot, he finds a man waiting for him, indicating the next phase of this relentless ordeal is about to unfold. As Kenny confronts the man in the forest, he discovers a large parcel containing a drone. The man, revealing himself to be another victim rather than the hacker, is ordered to activate the drone. It becomes clear that both are pawns in a cruel game orchestrated by the unseen blackmailer. The man then shockingly informs Kenny that they must fight, with the cash prize going to the survivor. Kenny, overwhelmed and horrified, learns through a text from the hacker that they must fight to the death. In a moment of despair, Kenny pulls out his gun, contemplating using it on the man or himself. When he discovers the gun is empty, the man seizes the moment to attack, initiating a desperate struggle between the two victims. Meanwhile, Hector, having completed his tasks, returns home to find that despite his efforts, his secret has been exposed. He is greeted by a troll-face message from the hacker and finds his wife distraught, having learned of his infidelity. Devastated and speechless, Hector faces the collapse of his family life. The narrative also circles back to the woman from the opening scene. Just like Hector, she receives a troll-face message, signaling that her secret is out. Turning on her computer, she is horrified to find her racist outburst has become public, destroying her reputation. Similarly, the scooter guy, involved in earlier events, faces his downfall as his hidden scandal is revealed, causing turmoil within his family. Each character, manipulated and blackmailed, ends up exposed and suffering, highlighting the hacker's relentless and destructive control over their lives. Finally, we are taken back to Kenny, who appears to have won the fight. He is bloodied and battered, but at least he has the money with him. Unfortunately, as he staggers his way back home, he receives a troll face on his phone. Then, his mom calls him. On picking up, she sobbingly asks if he was watching illegal child videos. This comes as a shock, and it turns out that Kenny has been having fun with illegal content. As his mom continues crying on the phone, He doesn't say a word and simply hangs up. In the final scene, as Radiohead's exit music blares on, some police officers arrive and arrest Kenny. He doesn't resist, nor does he speak. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen, and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.